We've now completed the installation of the carbon filter, but keep in mind this could be a neutralizer filter or a sand filter as well, because the valve and the programming are the same for any type of backwashing carbon filter. Only iron filters are slightly different. So when I've completed the installation, now I'm going to go ahead and do the programming. I hold the down button for 5 seconds until I get system check. And then down, down, scroll down, gets me into the program. I set the capacity in gallons of how many gallons I want to go before it backwashes. I can adjust it simply with the arrow buttons and say 1,000 gallons. I can change the phone number there. I put in for the company's phone number. I set the time of day, and you're pretty much done. You're just going to set the gallons and time of day and let it do its thing. If you do want to go into the advanced menu, you arrow up to yes, go into there, and this is where you can set the reserves, such as your variable reserve or a fixed reserve. The recommended factory setting is the variable. That's the smart setting, where it uses the last 7 days water average as a metric to control it with. Or if you do want to go to a fixed reserve, you can. Next is my regeneration time. The regeneration time default is 2 a.m., which is an hour before the default on the water softener. If you're putting a water softener in conjunction with this, its default time is 2, and you won't have to change it because this default time is 1. We never want them cleaning at the same time. So again, filters default at 1, softeners default at 2. The override function, just like it is on all the other products, allows us to override the meter. Right now it's set at 1,000 gallons, but if I want to, I can also set it for every, let's say, once a week. So if I don't use the 1,000 gallons this week, in 7 days it will clean anyway. And that's the function of the override. And then I have my adjustability of my backwash and rinse times. And then I simply exit the valve. And that's all there is to the basic programming. There's a couple other things in there, which is the information center and the homeowner settings. Let's talk about that. The homeowner settings are very simple. They have the time of day. They can start the regeneration now, or they can have it delayed to the programmed regeneration time. Not much there. There is the information center, which allows them to see the diagnostics. It's visual only. You can hold the up arrow button for 5 seconds. And then it'll tell you how many days the system cleaned, how many days the system has been in service, how many times it's cleaned, the total volume of water, the total volume of water before last regeneration, the current flow rate, and your average water use per day. Then you have just the information you entered as a visual, capacity, reserve type, and so on, as it goes through the rest of the data. And then you hit exit and exit out. So you've completed the programming. Now the final thing we have to do is start the system up. I have a bypass valve here to show you what's on the backside, as you know. And it's in the closed position. When I first start a system up, I start it off in closed, flush the plumbing out, and then I'll turn the water on to the system. It's very common on filters, especially a carbon filter, to push off some cloudy gray water. I recommend opening up a bathtub or an outside faucet that doesn't have aerators or screens, because sometimes the carbon fines or other mineral fines will go through and clog up aerators and kitchen faucets. So it's best to flush the system in an area where you don't have that, like a bathtub or an outside faucet. Once it's all clean and flushed, I can now walk the system through a cycle to test it. But keep in mind, all backwashing filters, carbon, neutralizers, and so on, the mineral is very light until it gets water saturated. So I don't want to test the backwash cycle on a brand new startup. I want to let the water run for 24 hours. So during my startup, I'm going to quickly go past the backwash cycle into the rinse cycle and then go on from there, and I'll show you how. I simply go where it says regen in 10 seconds. As soon as the motor kicks in, I'll press it one more time to go into the higher speed function, just to speed things up. And when the motor stops, it would be in backwash. Normally what you're going to hear at this point is a lot of air escaping. And it's fine, let the air escape. But the moment the water starts to flow, move to the next cycle. And at that cycle, now it's just downflow rinsing, and you can continue to rinse the system, get all the air out, and then you're going to bring it back to home. Again, with backwashing filters, there's not much to it. It's simply backwashing to clean, and then downflow rinse to finish off. And then once it gets to there, it's only for 3 minutes in fast rinse, and then we'll walk it home. And after that, the next thing I have to do is just explain the expectations to the customer. Remember, if it's a carbon filter, the mineral will have to be rebed, but it's going to be several years from now. So that's the only maintenance they're going to do in a few years, is actually have a serviceman come out and rebed the filter. If it's a neutralizer filter, they may have to actually add mineral to it every year, depending on the level in that tank. But these are things that the serviceman will do once he's on the job. So carbon filters, neutralizer filters, same programming, very simple. Just make sure you also explain the expectations to the homeowners. Just like an iron filter puts air in the water, carbon is very porous as well. So when a carbon filter is brand new, it's also going to push off air for at least a few weeks. I go upstairs, turn a faucet on, show the customer the cloudy water, set their expectations, and I'll have less problems going down the future. And that completes it for your carbon and neutralizer startups.